What's up guys, welcome back to joecobra Gaming. Today I'm going to be bringing you my memories slash retro flashback of Sonic the Hedgehog. In 1985 Nintendo came and they saved gaming as we know it. Gaming was on a big decline and Japan brought out the NES and it just took everybody by storm and it put gaming back on the map. Of course, Mega Drive was not to be left behind, and they had their Master System, and then of course then came the Super Nintendo and the Mega Drive. And in 1991, when Sonic burst onto the scene, Mega Drive could finally say that they had their mascot and their killer game to go with their console. Compared to Mario on the Nintendo, and of course in that way there were two very different games, and it was very smart of Sega to obviously go totally opposite of how Mario plays. And as we all know, Sonic was super fast, and the nature of the levels, how they were designed, were there for you to really rip through them really quickly. But of course, there was also some stages like the Marble Zone, Spring Yard, Labyrinth. These stages, they changed things up a bit, and that was more in the form of how Mario played out, where it was a little more slow paced and there was a bit more thought process in how you would make the next jump, etc. And that there was a lot of in these zones in Sonic. But for the majority, like the very first level, that was obviously how the game was intended to be played, and there was many more stages that followed that. But of course, the first stage you play really sets the tone for what Sonic was about, and that was really fast-paced, flying through the levels and getting to the end as soon as possible. Every zone had 3 acts, 2 levels, and the third level would normally be the boss level. You'd have to fight the now famous arch enemy of Sonic, Dr. Robotnik, and his machines that he built to help him stop Sonic. And every single zone was lots and lots of fun to play. Like I said, you had the slower levels that changed the pace of the game, and of course then you had the more famous fast levels for Sonic. And if you was to collect have 50 coins by the end of the level, you could once you get to the sign which you run past and spin, there would be a big ring waiting for you at the end of the level, and then you would get to jump in through the ring, and that would take you to these psychedelic bonus stages that are now very famous with Sonic 1. And these stages were like it was like being on a trip. You'd have these like dolphins and weird psychedelic colors in the background, and the way that the stage moved in 3D. You'd have to then of course work your way through the bumpers and break some bricks when you got to the center, which is where the Chaos Emerald was waiting for you to be collected. And there were 7 Chaos Emeralds that you'd have to collect to get a different ending at the end of Sonic. And as the zones got harder, so did the bonus stages. But it was more than doable, and so that was another cool little feature that the game had. Same as where Mario would collect coins, Sonic would then collect rings, and this again became synonymous with these two characters. Of course, then we had another famous part of Sonic, which was the power-ups, which were these TVs that were scattered around the levels. And again, although Sonic was a fast-paced game, every now and again, if you did take your time, there were many different paths that you could take. And if you ventured into these areas and took your time with Sonic, you would always find some more TV screens with more power-ups waiting for you. And we had now famous power-ups like the invincibility, the speed shoes, the shield, and of course you would normally find extra lives in these areas as well. Then we also had Dr. Robotnik. Like I said before, he was Sonic's arch enemy, and he was obviously always after the Chaos Emeralds, and it was Sonic's job to make sure that Dr. Robotnik never got these Chaos Emeralds. So that was basically the gist of the story for Sonic. And I have fond memories of playing Sonic. Came with the Mega Drive back in the day when you bought a Mega Drive, and since then consoles have always seemed to have come out with a killer game with the console to help the sales. Same way as Microsoft had Halo, and the same way that PlayStation had Metal Gear Solid. There was always a certain mascot that went with each console generation, and these guys were the ones that started it all, Mario and Sonic. And you know, back in the day, in the 16-bit era, this was the best looking games that you could play. And Sonic went on to have a very long history, and to this day he's still going strong. In 1992, Sega brought out then Sonic 2, and you know, they went from strength to strength. In Sonic 2 we was then introduced to a new partner for Sonic, whose name was Tails, this little fox with his tail that he could basically fly for a limited time, and that also changed up the game, and it also brought in 2-player, which was the first for the Sonic series. And you had a new move which was very, very handy, and when you ever go back to play number 1, you always feel like this move should have been in number 1, but that's what sequels are for. That's what they're here to do. They're here to make games better and to be better than the previous game. And this spin dash move, you would stand stationary, press down on the D-pad, and keep pressing the button fast, so you could build up speed and go through the loop-the-loops and the other fast parts of the circuit. And it would always really help, because in the first Sonic you'd have problems with having to build up speed and get the right timing for certain jumps, but this special move in number 2 really helped a lot. Then they of course implemented a Super Sonic, which was also something new to the Sonic genre, and if you collected all the Chaos Emeralds at the end, then you would get to play as this Super Sonic, who was much faster, could jump higher. It was just much more powerful than the normal Sonic, and he was very much a nice bonus to have once you'd completed the game and collected all the Chaos Emeralds. Then Sonic 3 came out in 1994, and you know, again with other little things that they added, the biggest addition to the game was another new character called Knuckles. And again, Knuckles was slightly different to Sonic and Tails, and his special power was that he could climb. Then Sonic in the mid-90s, as 3D gaming was coming of age, so did Sonic go into the Sonic Adventure games, some of my personal favourites. And again, this was evolution of Sonic, and it was a different way of playing Sonic. It still kept the speed from the other games, and it still kept everything from the games that we knew and loved. But in this time, it was in a different perspective, and I thought it really worked well for the series. And they went on to do a second one, and for the fans out there, unfortunately, we never got to see a third Sonic Adventure. But you know, maybe one day we could get that. You never know. And of course, you know, nothing lasts forever, and you can't be on form all the time. And Sonic did hit a bad patch where, you know, we started to think that maybe Sonic would never get back to his former glories. And you know, with a combination of other technologies and these new consoles that were coming out, I think Sonic lost his way there. But as you know, today we have Sonic Mania, which came out a couple of years ago, and that really made the fans happy, and it got everyone playing Sonic and talking about Sonic again. And then of course we have the movie that's going to be coming out soon, starring Jim Carrey and Sonic himself. And we all know what happened with that character himself and how he looked in the trailers. And again, the power of the gamers and the fans, and luckily the studio listening to us, they've gone now back to the drawing board. I'm going to change him, and I think that's a fantastic idea, because the way they were going with the Sonic that was in the trailers was going to be a disaster, and I really don't know why they went with that look. Just keep it original, keep it how we remembered it, and it'll work. So as you can see, you know, another new game in Sonic Mania, and a Hollywood film being made of him, and we're talking about all these years down the line where we haven't even ever seen a film for Sonic, and we're getting one now. So you know, you can see the power of Sonic, and that he's here to stay. So guys, that was my retro flashback of Sonic the Hedgehog. Down below in the comment section, leave me some thoughts on which one was your favourite Sonic game of all the many Sonic games that have come out. Please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time on the Joe Cobra Gaming channel. Thanks guys, take care of yourselves, bye bye.